And now I want to insert something that I didn't say in the meetup. So important. You're going to love this. The origin of evil. Ooh, this is going to be big, right? You're probably going to be disappointed. Actually, the origin of negativity and the origin of evil, they're really just consciousness exercises. Okay. So first of all, the origin of negativity, it's simply the fact that every choice forward has to have the complement of, well, you could choose to go backward. Every choice to be more of the real you, to be happy and joyful, you need to have a sense of a contrast of like, well, I could have chosen the other direction. So as I've mentioned many times, the start of all love is to realize that you could hurt someone and you don't want to. I choose to find a way to help you. I don't want to hurt you. So the choices always have to be there, and it doesn't mean that you have to activate them. There's a fundamental difference between active choices, sort of a kinetic energy, and potential choices, stuff that I'm just aware of as a reference that I could do harm and I choose not to. Somebody who's gone far into the negativity, well, those are the people who, like, they're just not asserting themselves. They're not making the choices that would be good for them. They become harmful to themselves, and then they spread that harm by teaching the pattern. Nobody actually directly impacts anyone else. It's all about teaching a pattern. So if somebody's modeling such a scary, negative pattern, you don't have to do that. You don't have to believe. You don't have to buy into like, oh my God, they're going to do that to me. No, the universe can stop time for you. It can reset your entire life. It can send you miracles, synchronicities, opportunities, friends, resources, creativity, ideas, guidance, anything you need to be healthy, happy, safe, and thriving in the communities where you belong. Do not underestimate what the universe will do for you to take care of you. You are a child of the universe. You are a form of the very universe. Absolutely. The universe ask and it is given. You will be taken care of. You will be safely guided away from any threats, any dangers. That all you had to do was clarify your own values so you would not choose the lifestyles that put you in danger. The reality is like empty containers, I like to say. The reality is whatever energy of choices, of beliefs that you put into it. So somebody you see doing a great harm, it could go either way. You decide like, oh my God, I have to get in there and fight them or run from them or some other survival reaction. Or you could say like, hey, well, they're quite the example of something I don't want to do. I guess if the universe is bringing me an example of something I absolutely don't like, then the universe is giving me a little nudge, a little hint, like revisit my choices, strengthen what I do like. So when you meet something that's unpleasant, unloving, harmful, just strengthen your resolve in the other direction. I'm going to go that much more for being a loving person who believes in the goodness of life. So that's the origin of negativity. It's simply there. It's simply the opposite direction. And pretty much nobody in their right mind chooses that deliberately. When I say in their right mind, I mean like as a whole being, you ultimately you discover like, I don't have to do this. I mean, if you knew that you didn't have to hurt yourself, why would you do it? The only reason people are choosing negativity is because they bought into the belief systems that there's nothing they can do about it except have a survival reaction, which they don't realize how much that feeds it. But the origin of evil, ooh, yes, okay. So the origin of evil is really just allowing runaway negativity. It's self-neglect. Okay, there is no source of evil in the universe. There is only the living, loving universe that allows you to see a range of choices good choices for you, bad choices for you, and it gives you every encouragement, every support to choose the positive ones, the path of who you are, the path of your contribution to the universe. Because, hey, you're a living, loving part of the living, loving universe. It wants you to join in the fun. It wants you to be a functional member. It wants you to be happy and healthy, contributing to the community that you're a part of. So let me draw a diagram here. It's really pretty straightforward. Okay, we talked about the spirit-human partnership, that there are two parts of you. There's a creator part that makes decisions. That's the spirit decider part of you. And then there's a human experiencer part of you that has to experience those decisions, those choices, enough that it has a response or a reaction that then you respond to. Really, your human being or any incarnated being reacts to the choices you've made for it. And then it's up to you as the spiritual decider to rise above that and to respond, to say like, well, I love you. I don't want to hurt you by leaving you in a choice that turned out to be harmful to you. I'm going to take action to take better care of my creation. So you get to be the creator in the creation, enjoying your own creative skills as you go. That's the ascension. There isn't really supposed to be this big distinction between, the human physical life and the afterlife. There isn't really supposed to be an afterlife. There's supposed to be just the energetic, higher perspective on everything, where you make the deepest decisions, and then this kind of outer reality where you get to play out, the icing on the cake. The cake is your spiritual being, which is infinite, and the icing on the cake is you get to play out the decisions in the full deliciousness, as Abraham Hicks says, the full deliciousness of the physical experience. So, pretty straightforward here. Let me draw a little diagram. So let's see belief systems as this layer across here, okay? This layer, this plane of belief systems, and there are all the different possibilities on the plane of belief systems. And you are the creator being above the belief systems. That's your spiritual, observing, deciding self. And you are a creation inside of the beliefs. That's your human self. So the human being and the spiritual being. Okay? And so as we've talked about, you will naturally rise to the spiritual perspective when you accept and feel and be with your human self. You need the satisfaction of having experienced what you just chose for yourself. So, there's a basic partnership here, the human experiencer, the spirit decider, and you're supposed to be able to go back and forth pretty smoothly. And in fact, your human self will become more savvy over time. Initially, your human self can just react and like, oh my God, this is so real, I'm freaking out. But as you work with your human self, it becomes more savvy. It realizes like, hey, I've got a higher part of myself taking care of me. I don't have to overreact to things. I don't have to underreact to things. That's the hot and cold hells of negative beliefs that like, oh my God, everything's out to get you. You got to super react and do everything. And that's the hot hell. And you can't do everything and you don't want to overreact. And then the cold hell is like, oh, everything's fine. Just relax. Everything's going to be taken care of. And so you underreact and you underachieve. And both extremes are for the purpose of disempowering you, get you to not do what you would love to do, your natural flow, what you would actually contribute to the universe, which isn't underreacting, it isn't overreacting, it's just right responding. And that's the joy. It feels really, really good to be in that right place of, your right response, the right feelings, being in the right place at the right time, everything's fitting together in this living, loving universe. It feels super, super good. So, there is a basic agreement, the spirit-human agreement. The human being, there's two things on each side. The human being is going to take commands. So sort of, in the classic religion, it's like, God, tell me what to do. You're really like you're praying to your own higher self. It's like, deeper self who loves me tell me what to do. And then you take commands and then you report results. So the human being is fundamentally saying like, tell me what to do, my deeper, wiser being, and I will do it, and I will tell you how it made me feel, what happened. And then on the spirit side, your obligation, your commitment to yourself is, one, to interpret results, and two, to give commands. So between those two, you see there's decision making. So interpreting is the very act of applying belief systems. If you're on a street at twilight and you see somebody moving on the other side of the street, if you have a lot of paranoid beliefs, oh my God, somebody's attacking me. Better take out my gun and shoot them. It's like, come on, that's a bit of overreaction, don't you think? But if you have really positive, loved beliefs, you realize like, oh, that's my neighbor waving to me. What a lovely evening. Hi, yes, how you doing? All right. It's that extreme. So you interpret from your beliefs and you give commands. So in the example, I'm interpreting from my positive beliefs. I know that I live in a nice neighborhood and that looks like my neighbor. So I give the command to my human self, go ahead, wave, say hi. And the human says, okay, I'm getting this idea, this impulse to wave and say, hi. And sure enough, report the results. Yeah, the person answered and yep, that's the neighbor. I recognize their voice. And they smiled and maybe we crossed the street and talked for a while. This is the basic back and forth. The origin of evil is simply abdicating your responsibility. It's a self-neglect. Your human being, it's in the game, okay? There's that phrase in the Bible, the spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. Well, what we're really talking about here is the flesh is willing. A part of you is incarnated. It's in the game. It's got to survive, okay? So it's question of whether the spirit is weak or strong enough to do its duty. So the human being, it's in the game. It has to do something, and it will report the results. So if you are abdicating your responsibility, like I don't want to decide what it means. It's twilight, and oh my gosh, there's somebody waving to the other side of the street, and it's like I don't want to decide what that means. What happens is if you break this fundamental relationship here, your human self is alone to think, what am I going to do? And it fundamentally can't decide. It has no perspective. It's inside the beliefs. It's going to just keep reacting and exaggerating the same beliefs. So this is where you get these people who a voice in my head told me what to do. And it was like, shoot them before they shoot you. It's because it's gone down a path of the person isn't making choices for themselves. If you let other people tell you what to do and think, and if you don't take your power of choice, this is everything. Up here, this ability to interpret results, think about it. That is your consciousness. That is your life story. That is your narrative. That's your unique journey through the universe. The fact that, I know that I live in this neighborhood and, there's a nice neighbor and we have a long history of being friends and all, and I know what they look like. It's your life story. You've got to stay on top of making your own choices. So when you say no, don't talk to me, human, I don't know what it means. I'm too scared, or I've been intimidated. I just have a long history of not standing up for myself, of not making my own choices. Well, something's going to come in and tell you what to do. And you know what it is? It's your negative ego. So the positive ego is your human self, but there's rapidly, sort of draw it with horns here. Not that there's anything wrong with horns, okay? It's just traditional, right? So, but yeah, this negative ego, it's a character in your head. It's basically like the scared side of your human being that is not getting any support from higher selves telling it what to do. Because up here, you could have a perspective on things. And down here, you're just in the game. You're like reacting. So, you report results, something happened, and nobody answers. God doesn't answer. I just feel alone, and so this survival self is going to come up, and it's just going to continually react in the worst way. And this is the one that's going to say, like, well, you see a shadowy figure coming to you. They're against you. They're out to get you, which is straight out of negative beliefs. Negative beliefs are all about saying the universe is bad. It's out to get you. So you have to focus on finding and destroying your enemies. So your negative ego, your devil character, is the part of you that comes up to make decisions because the higher part of you has abdicated its responsibility. So evil, the rise of evil, is just a self-neglect. It's just a lack of taking charge of situations and deciding, like, I need to ask questions first before I shoot. I need to, decide what's really going on here. I don't want to knee-jerk react out of my worst fears and the worst things I've ever heard. Remember, fears are not bad in themselves. Fears are just indications of a false belief. In the positive world, the feeling of fear is actually kind of exciting because it indicates, like, ooh, I'm scared something bad will happen, but the universe loves me. Nothing bad is going to happen. I must have a negative belief, a false negative belief somewhere. Ooh, life is going to be really good when I clear that up. So that's it. The origin of evil. All the stuff people make up. It's all invented. Evil. You can experience it because remember, reality is like empty containers. You pour your energy into it. You can experience stuff. The experiences are real. But is there a genuine source of evil? Is there a part of the universe out to get you? No. The only part of the universe that's out to do something for you is to help you, to love you, to guide you from the higher dimensions of your spiritual self, because you're not alone up there. When your human self says, hey, this is happening, what do I do? What does it mean? Your spiritual self, you don't want to be alone either. You in turn want to be like an incarnated self to a higher self. So it kind of goes up this chain and back and forth of inspiration, guidance from above, and the experiences of life coming from below, and the two work together. You can have this wonderful, beautiful life. And you don't have to meet any people who are so lost and confused and intimidated that they don't make decisions for themselves, that they end up developing this alter ego that's totally destructive and homicidal, suicidal, whatever. Don't underestimate your negative ego. It's not cute, okay? People play around with it and they have all these complicated, tragic heroes and, complex villains and shades of gray. And it's like, okay, well, that's all very nice and fine to validate different feelings. People are ambivalent. But no, your negative ego is not ambivalent, okay? It is the survival part of you that, for lack of higher guidance, because you're breaking the chain of higher guidance, refusing to think through a situation, just taking whatever somebody tells you, the worst part of you comes up. And that negative ego, that is totally out to destroy you. It really is. It may start out as just sort of critical voices and doubting yourself, and you can justify it saying well, it's good that I doubt myself. I don't become too full of myself. Well, why would you become, arrogant and superior if you're on the right path in life and you just feel really good? No, it's all the negativity, it comes from this negative ego that is just plain out to destroy you. And sometimes you will feel that. Sometimes you'll feel like, my God, there's a part of me that just wants to destroy me, because that isolated, disconnected, survivalist part of you, it's in a lot of pain. Okay, it's trying to put itself out of its own misery, and you are its misery, so it's trying to destroy you. So there's really only two choices in life. Either you're this human being working with your highest, conceptions of spiritual growth, and you're receiving guidance from above. So you're either working with God is great spirit, creator, your higher self, your soul, or you're working with your own invented, created source of evil, your negative ego, which is out to destroy you, which will tell you the absolute worst ways to think of anything. And you notice that people who are really negative in the world, the narcissists, total control freaks. They don't want you to think of anything on your own. They're very quick to tell you, like, this is what it means, what's happening to you, and people are out to get you, and you better do what I say or else terrible things will happen. And they're control freaks because this is coming from the negative ego. They are totally controlled by their negative ego. They're completely impulsive, compulsive. And they're not smart at all. They're just obeying their negative ego. And they want you to join in the game to validate them. Well, you can simply be guided from your higher self so that you're not jumping in to get in trouble, to be exposed to their negative ego. And you don't have to be exposed to your negative ego. Just decide, no, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to hurt myself. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm not going to do dangerous things. I'm not going to play with fire. A lot of people like to imagine evil characters and lots of stories of good versus evil. It's all of that. It's bad energy. Okay. It's people play around with it and justify it in different ways. And fine, if you want to learn a lesson of okay, I made a story about evil characters and I really don't want to be like that. And, you have a redemption at the end, but how long can you enjoy the same old good guys versus bad guys and redemption stories? Hollywood storytelling, so full of tropes, so full of stereotypes. And the more you become sensitive to the fundamental relationship between your spiritual self and your human self, and the two of you together in your relationship with your higher self and your soul, you just don't want to play around with that silly stuff, that really hurtful, silly, unnecessary stuff anymore. So a fundamental characteristic of the spiritual path is that you become highly opinionated, not to judge others, but you become highly opinionated. You set your own boundaries of what's good for you because you are becoming that spirit decider. You are taking your responsibility to decide what's right for you. Boundaries, good boundaries, are inward facing. You're containing yourself with what's right for you, to do. Other people, you let them go, do whatever you want, free will. That's what higher beings do. They're always interested in you need to decide. Do you want my help? You need to ask for help. Whereas lower beings, negative beings, they'll just jump in and they'll just tell you, you need my help. You can't do anything. You're a fool. You're terrible. I'll take care of you. And the more you let them run your life, the more you start noticing, actually, they are the problem. And my own, wimpiness, my own lack of standing up for myself is the problem that lets them in. So that's the origin of evil. Not too dramatic, right? But very, very practical and very powerful because your consciousness is your perspective on the universe. And the whole universe will back you up, will give you whatever you want to experience. The power of your choice, the power of your consciousness to decide what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy. It's infinite. It's amazing. There's just no reason to dabble around with negativity, much less creating a negative ego and a source of hurtfulness. The only people who do that are people who are extremely confused, intimidated, and they haven't been making decent decisions for themselves in a while. So that's it.